Good day, everyone. I hope you're hearing me loud and clear. I think it's coming out clear. All right, perfect. Let me just double check here with the sound. There's just a bit of delay, so it should know. Perfect. Sound is good. Awesome. Apologize. Didn't want to scream too loud. Maybe the mic just needs a little bit adjusting. Awesome. Perfect. Well, I hope you're doing well today, my friends. Today we'll be doing the Act the box called 2 million. Um, if I'm looking like I'm searching my words a little bit, is just because I'm just still getting things a little bit placed up or organized, if you will. So, to those who don't know me, my name is Tony Roy. I also go by the name of Psycho, short for Psycho Slave, which is a name I heard while I was on the IRCs way back when IRC was popular. I mean, it's still popular somewhat. We can probably debate it. But it's far less popular than what it used to be back in the days. Instead of the kids being like on TikTok and Facebook and everything, we used to gather around on IRC. So that was a different crowd back then, different time. Um, so we I'm still trying to spawn the box here. Earlier it gave me some kind of network error, but it didn't seem like it was loading, or I wasn't able to ping the box. So let's hope while we're doing this little intro that we'll get there. It should be. Um, so like I said, we're I think the box that we're gonna do today really bear its name. Well, before I go into that, actually, wanted to apologize about last week because this stream should have been last week. Somehow, well, it always comes out like in the late 20s, but on the 24th, Saturday the 24th, didn't seem like it was the last Saturday of the month, but I guess it was. So, rule of thumb, we're always streaming, or we're always having these walkthroughs on the last Saturday of the month. So, if by all means I haven't posted anything, feel free to remind me. Say, hey, what's up, Tony? What's up, Psycho? You're sleeping on the something here. Let's get moving. All right. So the box is spawned in. I'm able to ping it. Awesome. We're in business. So, like I was saying, I think the box release bear its name. 2 million was released to celebrate the 2 million subscribers of Hack the Box. The author does a really good job, I found, to take us down a trip down memory lane by showcasing the whole sign up page of Hack the Box, right? Um, this box is a Easy Linux that was released on June 7th, 2023. The machine was released, and I think it was retired the next day. Um, it's real. I think this really is a fun box for like newcomers to the platform to try, even though the privilege escalation can be a little bit tricky or even though obscure. I found the payloads a little bit weird. We'll talk about it once we get there. Um, but I think it's nonetheless a very entertaining box. So the skills you're gonna need to move forward with this box. I think you need to be comfortable playing with APIs. The initial access is done through the API hacking by generating an invite code. Um, so you'll be exploiting as well an IDOR that gives you the ability to change the user. Gives you more privileges essentially, and just a little bit of basic programming understanding. I mean, not a whole lot. I think a little bit of JavaScript because you need to analyze some JavaScript. Also, Bash wouldn't hurt just to know like how things might be running in the background, because essentially if the guess we're going to be making here later on will turn out to be good. A little bit of not kung fu. I always say kung fu, don't I? Google fu skills. Just you need to be able to find, to be able to browse to, and I mean it's not the first payload you'll find on top of Google. I think the reason being it's well, it's a Chinese payload, so let's put it that way. So I would probably, if you plan on doing this box on your own machine, I would probably advise doing it on the VM or something like that. So I mean, just to be safe, right? With all that's going on in the world and everything. Not that I have any discrimination against Chinese, but anything that's not coming from your country right now, with things being a little bit sensible, you probably want to like take the extra precaution, right? Also, just to mention, the reason I'm saying this, to be fair, is um, there's known. I mean, GitHub has been doing a good job shutting down those sites, but there's a lot of sites or a lot of GitHub repository that pops up overnight, with likes and followers and everything. They look legit at first glance, but they're really just there to infect and attack security researchers like you and I. So just keep that in mind. Be careful. Do your diligence. Protect yourself, and all will be good, right? Um, Ability to identify and decode encoded data. So we'll be using CyberChef, and it does not always auto decode our data or find what the encoding is in. So sometimes we have to tell it what to do, right? Um, the tools we're going to need for this, good old trusted nmaps. We're going to be running an nmap just to find out what the ports open on this box is or are. You can use either Zap or Burp. We'll be using Burp this time. CyberChef, but it's not mandatory if you're able to decode just by reading base 64, or no, I'm kidding. You can use the command line version of base 64 and just simply decode it, but I think there's other payload down the road that I haven't included in my walkthrough if you're following on, um, but we'll likely be doing at the end if we have time. um, and CyberChef. So, like I said, we'll be using CyberChef to decode those payloads. And awesome. Let's start by enumerating this box. So, let's switch to this. I'm sure you guys have enough. You've seen my face enough. Now, let's show you some hacking. Let's do some hacking, I should say. So the first thing I always do here is sudo nmap. I'll do minus t4 minus a, and I'll do minus p, and then 10 10 11 221, which is the IP of our box. And that basically goes through all the ports. It does a port scan aggressively. just keep in mind that when you're doing port scans or when you're doing that those stuff, it can easily take a box offline or take a server offline or so be mindful. This is just in lab environment, so more more than likely it doesn't really matter. I mean, but you have to keep your diligence. If you're working on an engagement, you might want to ask the customer like what's the minimum or the threshold, the amount of packets you're allowed to send or whatnot, right? That way you can fine tune your nmap because it's very granular as far as the fine tuning, the number of parallelism, the number of sockets open at the same time, and everything. So it's very granular. So keep that in mind, and I would say if you're doing CTF or you're working on engagement, best thing is to have a couple of commands that basically you can refer to back if needed. Um, so we won't wait until our nmap. I'll just stop that because I have a copy of it right here, and we'll see right away that there's not a whole lot to this box essentially. Um, so we see it there's a redirect to some kind of subdomain. So if we copy this, I'm pretty sure that if we go to the website, it might not even be available. Or um, instead of going to the website, if we go to the IP address, it might try to redirect us to the host name that's not available, right? And because of that, what we need to do is we need to add this host. So we need to do sudo. You can use nano or vi or whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat, basically. I use nano because I was been using Pico back in the 90s, and it seems the nano is like the evolution of Pico. So um, all right, so we entered this as far as the IP address and the host name. We save that, and now if we refresh our web page, we should see this. And to some people, this might be familiar actually, because this is what the HackTheBox webpage looked like back in the days. Um, so we can look a little bit. It says it's a lab. How do I join? So to me, it I mean, just by the name, just by looking at this web page and everything, I knew right away what I was up for. So if you click the join, there's this box here, and essentially what that does is it wants an invite code. So before we do anything, let's just go to burp. Um, and look what the requests are looking for, like what the request looks like, right? Um, so yeah, we don't care, whatever. Eventually, we'll get into it. Burp's always a little bit slow to start, and we'll shut off the interceptor and let's enter just anything in the code, right? And sign up. Obviously, we have the wrong invite code. So if we right click on this page, you see that there's no way to actually view the source code. So we'll have to do it the old school way, basically. So view minus source colon enter. So we just type that in front of the the URL, and that brings us to this web page here, or the source code of this web page. And if we scroll right at the bottom of this, essentially we can see what's being done, like what this is all about, right? So there's a verify code. There's also an invite API .js. So let's take a look at this here. So if we click on this one, you see we get all this long text here, if you will. Well, this what it is essentially, it's just like the key is within the first few characters, like where it says eval function equals pack. So that means your JavaScript was packed. So it's a little bit, it's been obscured more or less. So it's art. It was made art to read on purpose. So if we look for JavaScript bootifier, we get this one here. And we can just click on bootify code. And this is the code we get. So it gives us an API how to generate access. So let's go back into Burp. We'll go into history. And we have a post to this. So so it does a post to how to generate. So let's copy this part here. And here what we're going to do is we're going to send to the repeater. Then we go in the repeater tab and we have, because if we send this, it's basically just going to say invalid code, right? So if we post this, we get this. So I'm just going to bring Cyber Chef over here. And it says rot 13. So let's take a look at this here. So we'll paste this in here. Looks like some jargon anyway. Rot 13 is basically, was used, I think back in the Roman Empire or whatever. So we're going to copy this here, and sure enough, it knows right away what the request is. So in order to generate the invite code, we need to do a post request to invite generate. All right. I think we can do that. So we'll set it to the repeater just to open a new tab. And we need to do a request to invite generate, right? Does it say it's a post request? Yeah, it's a post request. So let's do this. And sure enough, we get this encoded payload, right? So we can give that a try. But you'll see it says invalid payload. And the reason is we need to decode this here. just get rid of that because all right. And now we get this code here. So if we paste this one in here, now it should work. And sure enough, that works. So we'll create the psycho, email psycho at psycho.htb. Password, we'll use our super secret password of ABC123. And let's register the account. Sure enough, we registered. So we're going to type psycho.htb. And we want ours. Oh. Oh, no, I showed you my password, right? Now I'm going to have to run on my email and change my password. All right. So once we enter the credentials, here we go. We get to this page. And this is, I don't know if you guys have seen if the, or if you switched over to the old team of HackTheBox, but it looks exactly 100% like this. So from there, I mean, we're basically just going to check in the corner here. So you guys might not, yeah, you only see portion of it. Let me do it this way. So when I hover the links, you see at the bottom right there, bottom right there. I think the image might be mirrored, so I might be pointing on the wrong corner. So I apologize for that. But in the corner, in the left corner, you see the 2 million right here. It shows a right here, right? And if there's a pawn, like a pound sign, it usually doesn't have a whole lot. So if we click on the change log, there's a change log that works. So we see this is an old change log for back in 2017. So I guess I've been having my account for probably as long as that. Maybe not as long. And you can see all the updates that was going back then. That's fun to look at, right? All right. Now, if we look at the other ones, oh, we have another one here, Access. We click on Access, seems we have, so we got these two buttons. One of them clicks on the API link VPN generate, and the other one goes to VPN regenerate. So one downloads VPN files, and the other one does the exact same thing. All right. So there's not a whole lot to this website that works anymore, right? So it might be related to this connection thing. Over here, feedback doesn't work. Okay. So since everything seems to be related around here, let's take a look on how we can move forward to this. But I mean, if we look at the burps proxy requests, they look pretty similar, right? And it's basically just giving us like a certificate. certificate, a key. It's a VPN file essentially. And we don't know where this IP routes to. So since I don't think that's the way we're gonna hack this box, we're kind of back to the drawing board basically. So I decided I'd try to see if there was more. I mean, we could do it with the crawler or something like that. In Burp, we don't have access to the crawler unless we pay for the Burp Pro. With Zap, we do have access to the crawler. This could have helped over here, I guess. So if we try to do VPN, it says moved. And essentially, we're trying to look for just different access point or different, and just by shading a couple of access essentially, or folders to the pet, we were able to generate this thing here. So if we put it this way and take a look at it, so it's our route list. So these we were able to, we explored those. So those basically we've seen those. This is basically just what we're just looking at right now. So that's something, right? And then we have this portion. So we did those before. I don't think we ran the download command, but let's give that a try. So we go to VPN generate, we send that to the repeater. In the repeater, we remove this and we change it for download. Send it. And just the same thing, just exact same thing. All right. So all these, we did it. No, we didn't do this one. So let's give that a try. Um, so user auth. And if we send this, we basically get a response that says we're logged in. Our username is Psycho, but we're not admin. Okay, perhaps we have to find our way to get to the admin access. Because if we look to, and we can rename this tab here, call it API list, right? And so we got this very first one, admin auth. So let's try this one. So if we change this for admin and we send this, we just get false. So we're not admin. We already knew that, right? Now, if we look back at the API list, we got a post generate, and we got this put setting. But before we go through going through this put setting, I wanted to try something that was a little bit, because sometimes you're able to inject parameters and you're able to manipulate the query, the SQL query that goes up in the background. So if we go back to which one was our invite? So this one is our invite code. Invite code. So let's name it this way. Now we know what that is. And this is the how-to, right? Rename how-to. All right. So what we need another invite code. So let's send another invite code. Let's get this in here. We're going to put this into CyberChef, get our new invite code, and we'll go into join HackTheBox, paste in our invite code, we sign up. But this time we want to go to the proxy. We want to tell it to go to the interceptor and turn the interceptor on, right? So username HackTheBox2. Let's psycho2 at HackTheBox. It's psycho.hackthebox. Same password. We don't need to overcomplicate things. Register. Oh, yeah. Now we get this, right? So let's add this, and we had is admin. Let's equal 1 because we want to be admin, right? And now we can forward this. So it drops us back to the login page. Let's remove the it wants our email, so it's psycho2 at HackTheBox. There's no dot there. All right. And ABC123. All right. So we get back in here. Now we want to know if we still have admin, right? So let's go back to access. We'll click on connection pack, whatever. And we just want to spoof another request, right? Get the, I don't want to be changing the cookie and all that, so we're just gonna do the lazy route. Generate a new one, set it to the repeater, and then we want to do user auth. Okay, so we're logged in. Our username is psycho2, but we're still not admin. So that's not the right way to do it. Okay. And funny enough, our seems like our cookie didn't change. So that's probably another attack method or attack surface, because if the server ever reuse a cookie, then it's not much of a problem with a lab like this. But on environment or production environment, definitely a problem, because you're gonna have a lot of users is gonna be visiting that website, right? And a lot of cookies going to be generated, and eventually might be reused. All right, so since that didn't work, kind of leaves us with, if we go back to the drawing board or our API list, we got this put admin command in here. So perhaps we want to give that a try. So since our cookie is the same, we're going to take this request here, send it to repeater, and we call this admin setting update. So admin settings update. Is that what it is? Yep, that's what it is. And now if we send a post, oh yeah, method not allowed, because if we go back, it tells us the method we should be using. So it's very nice because it tells even tells us that we should be using put. So we change the post for a put. If I can grab it in there. All right. Now it says danger, invalid content type. Okay, sure enough. So we look, every time it talked to us, it talked in JSON, right? Perhaps it's expecting some JSON. So we'll remove this URL encoded form and just put JSON. Not JSON, but JSON. Now we do this again. And it kind of fails, but then I figured out that it didn't want the charset UTF. It doesn't like it at all. So if we try again, then it says we're missing parameter email. Okay. So if it wants JSON and it wants an email, we can provide it an email. So it wants email colon, and we'll give it psycho2 at, because that's the current account we're logged in as, right? HTB. So there it has its email. Now it's saying it's missing in there a parameter is admin. Well, that's great because that was exactly what we were trying to set earlier. We were trying to get to that is admin settings and put it to 1. So let's give that a try. Well, look at this. It says our user psycho2 is admin 1. And I'm sure that if we do that user request again, then sure enough, we're now admin. So on the page itself, there's not a whole lot to do. So we come back to our list here. So we worked on this one and we worked on everything else. It just leaves us with that really one command. VPN generate. Yeah, I guess I could have went for that one earlier. But I kind of, and that's the way I did it as well. Like I kind of overlooked that link. I thought I'd already looked at it, and I was like, yeah, the only thing that needs is the put one. Let's try to do the IDOR. So essentially, we with this put here, we were able to do an IDOR. So always check your permissions, because if we're not admin, we should not be able to set just anybody as admin. Seems simple enough, right? We shouldn't be able to set anyone we want as admin on and off, just because we have access to the route, or just because we have knowledge that the route exists. So security by obscurity, like this type of stuff, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. People will find it and you'll get pawned. All right, now we're admin. We have this other, so we're just gonna do another repeater here, and we want to try this other admin VPN generate. Admin VPN generate. It says mitten not allowed because we should be using a post over here, right? Now it says missing parameter. And the thing is, let's switch this back to, let's see if what happened if we wouldn't have done that. So we switch back to no admin and let's run this thing again. Now it just says 401. We're not authorized. Like this, there's no IDOR over here, right? There's only the IDOR on the other command. So let's put it back to admin so we can move forward. Right, now we're back admin. And if we send this, it wants the username. Sure enough, we do have a username. Maybe it doesn't want all this other stuff, so let's remove it. And funny enough, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I didn't really send the username. I sent it my email address and still did its thing. So I got my email in here. So that would be my user certificate, or to be able to log into the VPN. So this basically where we have to pause a little bit, just a second, and think of how this might be working out in the background. Now, if we think about it, there's big chances that those would be running like a bash script or something that basically runs this open VPN command to generate this OVPN file. Now, because it doesn't seem to care what we put in here. So if we put just random crap and we send it, it just does a certificate with the same random crap. It doesn't find our email, so it just uses the random crap to generate the email. But then, what if we enter this? Would it come back right away? Or would it sleep a couple of seconds? Let's try that. Huh. So here it seems like we have another vulnerability. So we have some command injection, right? So probably we can just get a reverse shell out of this. Not sure if you're thinking like me, but really seems like we could be. So let's give that a try. So we'll run nc minus lv np 1234, and I use revshell.com. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of it. You don't see the link. Revshell.com, and it basically just generates a reverse shell. So I got this. Let me just double check my IP is still the same. No, I'm IP10 now. So 14.10, and we're going to copy this payload, and let's replace the sleep with this command right here. And sure enough, we do get access. All right, so who are we? Who are we? We're www data. So we logged in as the. Now we have controllers. We have database. That's usually a cool one. We want to know about database, right? Let's just minimize all of that, because otherwise it makes it hard for you guys to read. So I'm really looking for username and password, but it doesn't seem like it does have that. So this database class probably is called with all of that. Here's all the routes we were playing with earlier. All the routes for the main thing. And here's basically what catching my highs. My highs. Yeah, so it says environment variables, so perhaps we have environment. It doesn't seem like it's an ear, but if you've done a little bit of web development, sometimes there's this dot environment file that's here. And sure enough, we do have credentials to the SQL. Now, what I usually do as well is I will usually list what's in the home folder just to know what user we have to move forward or escalate laterally to, right? In this case, it's the admin user. Well, this just happens to be that the database user is also admin. So maybe it's just as simple as just logging right in. So if we do SSH admin 10 10 11 221, yeah, we don't mind that. And we're going to use this super duper password. Oh, and that got us in. So we got nope. So we got the user password now, the user flag. Awesome. So we'll just take a short 5-minute break, or couple minute break. Basically, we'll come back at 50, just so can take a little break and have a sip of coffee, and then we'll be back to root this box. So back in a second. right. Thanks for waiting while I just took a little break here. Um, and just to do a little bit recap. So essentially, we're gonna go back to the presenting mode. All right. So what we did so far is we discovered an IDOR which enabled us to gain access to the admin access on the website. And once we did, we found this command injection, which we were able to allow to move forward, get access to the dub data user, and eventually get credentials. We were able to reuse those credentials and get access to the admin user. Now, from here, what I would normally do is, because doesn't seem to be having a whole lot of other users. There's a .ssh, but um, there's nothing in it. In the home folders, there's absolutely nothing. If we do sudo LA, I think that's what the password. We can't run this. We're not allowed to run sudo. There's no contrab. So we're kind of left a little bit in the out in the open, if you want. Because we don't, and that's when I did this box. This is basically where I hit a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I was like, well, there must be something. So eventually, I was able to find. So if I can type user admin, and what we want to do is we want to forward all the errors to dev null, because there's going to be a bunch of files we don't have access to as it scans, right? We don't want this to be an error. So we can see it pulls a lot of proc. We're going to remove those proc. There's some run. We're also going to remove the runs. Quite a bit of sys. And I think that's all. Afterwards, we'll remove those sys. And then we're left with just a handful bunch of files, essentially. And at first, I didn't think too much of those, but then I noticed that there's an actual email. So if we look at var, it's always a struggle to type, huh? And now we can see that chap sent an email to admin, and he tagged and CC'd Goblin on it. Urgent, please patch the system, or there's no please. And it was sent using a Thundermail Pro client by Mozilla, I think. It says, "Hey admin, I know you're working as fast as you can to do the database migration. While we're partially down, can you also upgrade the OS on the web host? There's have been a few serious Linux kernel CVE in the past year or in this year, and that one in overlay FS Fuse SE looks nasty. We can't get popped by that. HTB Godfather." All right. So we know there's probably a file, and I did a little bit of research, and it's not the very first one that comes up. But eventually, if I searched for like overlay FS 2003, GitHub, stuff like that, this site would come up quite often. And it does a very good job at describing everything that this problem is. And the way we can check whether if it works is if we scroll right here. It describes a way that we're able to somehow gain root access. So let's copy this command because all the rest we're able to do them. So if we do ID, we're basically admin, right? Now if we do this and we do ID again, we're root, but we can't get to the root folder. And everything, it seems like all the permissions on everything got changed. Really what happened here is we're in like a subgroup, or and we the exploit is basically where we overlay two file systems like a virtual, and essentially we're right now in the root environment but inside the user. So that's why we don't have access to root. We don't like the root, the group didn't came over. We got no groups. So we're root, but just root, not of the box, of this environment, if you want. But that kind of confirms that this old thing is working. And if we look just a little bit above where it talks about the patch and everything, there's a proof of concept. And this is the one that I was saying that it's a little bit shady because it's all written in like Chinese. So I recommend you do it like on as part of in a VM or not on your main machine, just to avoid any problems. So what we're gonna do here, we'll copy this. We'll need to git clone this repository, and we'll tar -z -c-v, and then it needs the name of the archive. We'll just name it psycho.tgz, the shortened version of tar.gz, and we want that old CVE folder, right? So this, now we can start like just Python, just Python web server. We go on the other one here, and let's go to the temp folder, create hidden cycle folder, go in there. So we don't want to spoil it for anyone, right? We do wget or wget, and we want 14.10, and the file we want is psycho.tgz. Port 8000. Perfect. Now, once we have that, we can tar -zxvf psycho. We get the file. We get into the folder. And here, basically, if we go to the GitHub, it says, well, we can translate this here. So right click, translate in English if you're in Chrome. It says to compile, we just need to make all. Make all. Compiles the software. It also says, because my Chinese is not very good, that we need to start two terminal, enter this in the first one, this in the second one. So we got the first terminal. Let's open second one. SSH admin. What was our password again? Super duper password. And let's close this terminal. We want 10.10.11.221 password, super duper password 123. Got in, cd temp .psycho.cve. All right, and we want this portion, this, and we want this here, right? So basically, from what I understood from this CVE is that it creates an overlay, and the SUID flag is able to transpire to the main partition. So when you run it, then when you run the XP as this user here, after you've done this, this creates the overlay, basically. It creates the fuse layer. Once it creates the overlay, let's do this, right? It's because I'm not in the right shell. Definitely helps if you're on the right box. So this here creates the overlay. See, we got the overlay. And now once we run this file here, if we do an ls on it, we should be able to see that it has SUID. It does not, but it does exploit the SUID. So if we do the EXP, we see it does all kind of calls here. And that basically gives us, right, exploit success. And we're now root. Who am I? Root ID. We got the groups over this time. We also have the admin. So this time we should be able to get to the root and get the root folder. But this, look, there's something as well. So this is the extra that I was talking about. So I don't have this part in my write-up, but here it gives you a thank you.json. So it says it's encoded. So perhaps we can do not QT, I don't remember what it is, but let's just copy this portion, the data portion. Well, let's copy the whole thing. Right? We'll copy this, not paste. We want to copy. Let's bring it over to our Cyber Chef. So it wants to do URL encoding. Perfect. Now that we have this, we're able to take this part here. It says it's encoded in X. We'll paste that in here. Gives us another JSON. Says the encoding is XOR. And the encryption key is HackTheBox. So let's copy this. Let's go to XOR. The key is HackTheBox. It says it was in base 64, so I think we can use base 64 here. Maybe It wants us to base 64 decode it. So base 64 decode. Um, yeah, actually, it wants to. We need to do it only on this string here, only on this. So we're gonna copy this string. We're gonna remove this. We don't need the XOR no more. Now we need base 64 decoded. Um, yeah, we need to from base 64 first. Um, oh, so it was in UTF. And there we go. We got Dear HackTheBox community. We are thrilled to announce a momentous milestone in our journey together. With immense joy and gratitude, we celebrate the achievement of reaching 2 million remarkable users. This is incredible feat we would not have been possible without each and single and every one of you. And that's you and I. From the very beginning of Hack the Box, from the very beginning, Hack the Box has been built upon belief that knowledge sharing, collaboration, and hands-on experience are fundamental to personal and professional growth. Together, we have fostered an environment where innovation thrives and skills are honored, honed. I can't read. I can't type. I can't read. Is there something I can do? Each challenge completed, each machine conquered, and every skill learned has contributed to the collective intelligence that fuel this vibrant community. I could not be more in agreement with that. Hack the Box is a basically huge portion of cyber community. Um, they give a lot to the community. They make all these meetups possible. Thank you. To each and every member of the Hack the Box community, thank you for being part of this incredible journey. Your contribution have shaped the very fabric of our platform and inspired us to continually innovate and evolve. We are immensely proud that you have what we have accomplished together, and we are eagerly anticipate the countless milestones yet to come. Here's to the next chapter and where we will continue to push the boundaries of cybersecurity, inspire the next generation of ethical hackers, and create a world where knowledge is accessible to all. With deepest gratitude, the Hack the Box team. Well, that's a very good message. Um, it was fun to crack the little thank you JSON at the end. Very, very special attention on the creators of this box here um, to highlight what the box was all about. Highlight the whole thing. I really, really love this whole experience from start to finish. Um, really like the throwback to the original way that you needed to sign up. Back in the days, I think it took me 2 tries to be able to crack the sign up challenge. And the very first time I tried days on to be able to find out. I didn't know what a Packer was at that time. It's kind of new in my, if you want, cybersecurity adventure. Um, and because of that, it, it it made it a whole lot harder for me. Our second time is basically I had basically speed learned a bunch of technology for an interview. I had basically 10 days to develop an application on something I did not know at all. That was basically a very, very challenging interview, if you want, or hiring process. But I think it molded me to what I've became now a little bit, and it made when I attempted that challenge a second time. I think it took me like half an hour to an hour to like get through all of it, and I was like, oh, I couldn't understand at all like why or how I wasn't able to complete that at the beginning. Like, what happened? So, and it's just because I didn't know about Packers, didn't know about a whole lot of stuff that we know about now, and that's why we need to keep learning and keep hacking those boxes, right? Um, Uh, just one last thing before we wrap up. I wanted to say that the lateral movement we did, which we reused the password of the admin, the password that had in the database. So essentially, did this we this is something that we see quite often in cybersecurity. Password get reused. Humans are lazy. They want to use password that they will know remember, and because of that we tend to reuse password. For the privilege escalation portion, I wish it would have been a little bit less shady. I mean, again, I'm not going to debate a whole lot. It's very political in nature, but I would just say like just be careful on what you do because of these known these known malicious guys basically going around and spreading payloads and making going the extra mile to make the repos look legit, just so for someone unaware that just maybe starting just a cybersecurity career basically gets hosed in, and it leaves a very sour taste in your mouth, and not a good experience. So it might even get some people to actually quit the whole thing because they might say, well, if I can't just look up the information and be able to use payload that's been generated for me before, uh, I might not be able to succeed in the field. So keep that in mind. Be careful. Always be careful. Be mindful of what you run. Not everyone. It's a no. I always say it. I always say it like this. It's a jungle, basically, in this world. The internet is a jungle, so make sure you're well suited and you don't get to die in the jungle. Essentially. All right, so we'll wrap it up. I guess that was it, and I hope you like the write up. Um, and we'll see you next time. And let's me double check. I think it will be on the 29th, so definitely on the date that I'm used to. So I don't do like this month. So we'll see again in 4 weeks on the 29th. Is it 4 weeks? 5 weeks. Yeah. So in 5 weeks on the 29th, and I'm not sure which box we're going to be doing. Um, I'm not sure if we did soccer. I was looking at soccer earlier today. Um, I might be trying to do like a medium, even a harder box. Um, hard box are fun. Um, and well, I'll keep you guys posted anyway on the group and on the Discord. So with all that being said, I am Psycho, and this was my walkthrough for 2 millions. Have a good one. Bye bye.